We just got back from an epic trip. 2 weeks on board the Costa Deliziosa, and today we're excited to give you a full review of our cruise. This was our second time on board the Deliziosa, and obviously this is our second review. Now, the previous time was back in 2021, and there was still lots of pandemic restrictions like PCR testing, mask wearing, reduced capacity. I don't want to think about that anymore. So it's for that reason that we think it's time to do a new review. As usual, we'll review every aspect of the cruise from 1 to 5 anchors, and this is a pretty big video, so get a glass of wine
or a bottle of wine
and stick around so that we can explain exactly what it's like to sail on board the Costa Deliziosa. Now, one thing to get out of the way is that lots of folks like to talk trash about Costa to get likes and views, and this certainly isn't one of those videos.
Nope.
It's a true account of what you could expect. Also, we want to let you know that this video is not sponsored by Costa. In fact, we paid for these cruises out of our own pockets. And this will ensure that our review is 100% honest and unbiased. So with that out of our way, let's begin our Costa Deliziosa review.
Absolutely.
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea, and today we'll give you a new review on our experience on board of the Costa Deliziosa. But first, if you like travel-related videos like this one, now is a great time to hit the subscribe button down below so you never miss any future videos. Also, consider sharing this video with your friends and family. You never know, some of your friends on social media might find this video useful as well. And lastly, you can download our Costa Cruise Guide in this video by following this QR code or check the link in the description below.
Sounds like good advice. Your parents used the Costa Cruise Guide that you created.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And they loved it.
Yep. All right, so let's get started.
Let's begin our Costa Deliziosa review by talking about the boarding process. We boarded the Costa Deliziosa in the port of Trieste, Italy. This port is right in the city center, a few steps away from Piazza Unità d'Italia, the main piazza in the city. We arrived at the port at 10:30 in the morning, and we started the boarding process right away. We had to go through the security and metal detector as soon as we got at the terminal. The line for this was quite long, and the security people at the port were not the most friendly or pleasant to either of us.
No, I don't know. Maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the...
Maybe.
No, you know what it was? All these people were going on holiday, but not them.
Maybe. After security, we arrived at the check-in area. Passengers in this area were sorted by groups to avoiding big lines at the counter. Because we were traveling in a suite, we had priority check-in, and we were sent to the agent immediately, skipping the whole line. At 11 a.m., we were walking on the ship. So even with the line at the security, for us the check-in was really quick. However, we have to mention that our bags did not arrive in our cabin until much later in the afternoon. Actually, the ship was leaving the port at 5 p.m. and our bags were not on the cabin yet. By the way, we knew that they were on board because we put a couple of AirTags in them, so we were not too worried and we could follow the bags around. Lastly, as usual, we had to go to the kiosk and register the credit card because Costa does not allow passengers to register their credit card online or at the time of booking for some strange reason. This is unlike what you expect with any other cruise line, and it caused a lot of confusion. Actually, the staff just assume that you need help with your credit card, and they come and ask you, do you need help?
Well, at least they're there to help out,
Absolutely.
Right? But it is funny that they
have to have someone there. So now it's time to vote for boarding, and I give 5 anchors out of 5 for the boarding procedure. Yes, people at security were not pleasant at all, but this is not Costa's fault. What's the vote, Rick?
Yeah, considering the whole process took less than a half an hour, I also give it a 5 out of 5 anchors. As you said, the security people were mean at best in Trieste, and I don't know, maybe, I think they were just mad that they were not the ones going on Costa.
Yeah, they're Rambo.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so time to move on to our next item to review on our Costa Deliziosa cruise, and we'll talk about the ship itself. The Costa Deliziosa was launched in January of 2010. It's 294 meters long and has a maximum capacity of 2,828 passengers and 934 crew members. Now, this ship is in excellent condition. In fact, we noticed that many of the chairs were replaced by new chairs inside, and all of the sunbeds, well, they were quite new as well. However, the decor is still the old-fashioned Costa that is really, really outdated, and in this case, it's going on 15 years old. Now, this ship is very easy to navigate. It also feels very spacious for such a small ship. On deck 2, you'll find the theater, the casino, a few bars, the main atrium, the front desk, the excursion desk, the main dining room, and 2 specialty restaurants. On deck 3, you'll find the upper level of the theater, the gelateria, all of the shops, the photo department, the wine bar, and the upper level of the main dining room. On deck 9, you'll find the 2 pools, one that is aft and uncovered, and the one in the middle of the ship that has a retractable roof. Also, on deck 9, you'll find the buffet, the pizzeria, the Salty Beach Burger Bar, a few bars, and the spa. On deck 10, you'll find the gym, the Squawk Club, which is the children's center, and the club restaurant. Now, one of the things that we noticed on the Costa Deliziosa is that some of these areas are really big for such a small ship, but that may be how they did it 15 years ago. Also, we'd like to say that the ship performs really well in rough seas. In fact, the first night after leaving Trieste, the seas were really choppy, but the ship was able to handle it with no discomfort, I think, for the passengers, certainly not for us.
Absolutely.
After our 2 cruises, the ship was due for dry dock before beginning what they're calling the World Cruise or the World Tour in December. Okay, so time to vote for the ship, and I think it deserves a 4 anchors out of 5 on this one, only because of its dated decor. Well, what do you think?
Well, as you said, the ship is very easy to navigate and has some very special feeling inside. The decor is a bit outdated, but still, it's quite pleasant. So I give the ship a 5 out of 5 in my opinion.
Very generous of you.
I am. Moving on to our next item to review about our Costa Deliziosa cruise, and we talk about the itinerary. We booked a 2-week back-to-back Italy, Croatia, Montenegro and Greece itinerary. Actually, we learned on board that this was not called a back-to-back because the itinerary was mildly different, and in this case are called sandwich itineraries. Who knew?
I think the person who told you that was playing with you.
I don't know. Anyways, in the first week after leaving Trieste, we sailed to the port of Bari in Italy, then to Dubrovnik, Croatia, then to the beautiful island of Corfu in Greece. We then sailed to the town of Kotor in Montenegro. After that, we sailed to the city of Split, again in Croatia, then to Zadar, still in Croatia, before sailing back to Trieste, Italy. In the second week, after Trieste, we went to Bari again, and after that we sailed to Kotor in Montenegro. After Kotor, we then sailed to Corfu, then to Katakolon in Greece, before going back to Dubrovnik, then Split, and then ending our trip in Trieste once more. The 2 itineraries were amazing. We visited some of very interesting ports, such as Dubrovnik and Split, that we have never seen before.
No, we never also saw Zadar also.
No, we never, actually. Also, in these 2 itineraries, there was no sea days in 2 weeks, which is quite incredible.
I've never heard of such a thing.
No, every day was a port day, and we have never experienced this before. We also did not mind visiting some of the ports twice, because it gave us the opportunity to take it easy and quite explore the ports in depth. Especially the one that we never seen before, like Dubrovnik, for example. I really enjoyed going there twice. The only thing I did not care much about the itinerary was the port of Katakolon in Greece on the second week. We've been there before twice, and honestly is not one of the most interesting ports in Greece. Yeah, in my opinion at least. If it was up to me, I would have changed this port for another place such as Argostolik on the island of Cephalonia, which is much better. But again, this was a very, very mild detail. Lastly, we were incredibly lucky with the weather. In our 2 weeks, we only had 1 day of mild rain in Split, while all the other days were fantastic and sunny and warm. Remember, these were like the 2 last week of October. It was warm enough for us to be able to sit by the pool and outside and suntan.
As you can see, right?
Yeah. We also noticed some of the people were going for a swim in the island of Corfu, which was quite spectacular. So it's time to vote for the itinerary, and I give 5 out of 5 anchors for the itinerary because I deeply enjoy visiting new places, and no sea days in 2 weeks was quite amazing. What's the vote, Rick?
Yeah, same thing. My vote for the itinerary is an easy 5 out of 5 anchors because, well, yeah, I always love going to places I've never seen before. So, and no sea days, that's pretty cool too.
Amazing.
Okay, so let's move on to another item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we'll talk about the Sea Club. The Sea Club is Costa's loyalty program. It offers some really good perks, especially when you reach Gold and Platinum. But even at the Blue level, you can have some discount on board, as well as discount on future cruises, so it's worth joining it. Now, because we're in Europe, membership is not automatic, so you actually have to ask to sign up. Luckily, the process is easy and it's free. Our Sea Club status is Gold, which means we have free entry into the spa while in port, and it also gave us a free pizza for every cruise and a ticket to the VIP party, which is essentially a toast with the management
and the
once a
captain.
cruise. Yeah, exactly. You also get access to Bag Express, which is a service that allows you to ship 1 bag for free to and from your home and to the ship, though it has to be a port or a country that supports Bag Express or that Bag Express supports. Lastly, we get a gift at the end of every cruise, and the first week we got a beautiful ship model, and the second week we got this nice bag, which I only used for shoes. What would we have done without it, right? Now, when you hit Gold, you also get the Magic Bag, which is a free laundry bag for 25 items, and additional ones are 25 euros each. Also, we got a nice perk this cruise for the first time, which means we got a free cabin upgrade, which is a nice perk. But this one is really hard to get because you have to cruise more than you did the year before. So eventually, it becomes impossible to get. But Costa changed it for 2025. I'm not entirely sure how it works yet, but it's supposed to be easier and more accessible. So let's see what happens. Now, the highest level is Platinum, and with that you get the club restaurant, depending on availability, a free massage, which is cool, and a free bottle of Ferrari. Not bad.
Not at all.
Now that's the good. But there is an elephant in the room, and that's their expiring points. On Costa, your points will expire after 3 years. Now, other cruise lines like Princess, they give you the status for life. The same with Carnival's VIFP program, or Holland America's Mariner Society, and even Seabourn with their club points. They don't expire. Your status is for life. Now, I mentioned Princess, Carnival, Holland America, and Seabourn. Do you notice something in common? You might think that it's the status doesn't expire, and you'd be right. But why did I mention these companies specifically? It's because they're all part of Carnival Corporation, just like Costa. But at Costa, they take your points away after 3 years. And of course, getting to the highest level is nearly impossible, sadly. On the first week, there were only 3 couples with platinum status. And on the second week, only 2 couples out of 2,000 plus guests. Well, at least those are the ones that showed up to the party. Now, compare that with the hundreds of gold, silver, and bronze. Well, now you can see the disconnect of this program, right? Look, the best customers, I'm talking about the people who have done 50, 100, 200 cruises, they're all telling us the same thing. Costa steals our points. One person on this last sailing said earlier this year that they walked on board with 400,000 points and left with 150,000. I don't think that makes much sense. for your best gets.
No, I don't think so.
I also calculated that you have to spend like 6 months a year, each year for 3 years to get platinum, only for your points to expire. So after spending tens of thousands of dollars a year, that doesn't feel like the best way to treat Costa's most loyal passengers. And compare that with MSC or Virgin, who is more than happy to status match, at least at the time of this recording. Well, it makes me wonder, right? Okay, rant over. For Costa Sea Club, for the perks, I give it a 3 out of 5 anchors. The perks are good, but they aren't for life, and that's a big shame. So overall, because the points expire, I give the Sea Club a 2 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, you're right, Rick. The fact that the points expire after 3 years is not very nice. In my opinion, there could be a sort of an incentive. For example, the points do not expire as long as the member cruises for at least 21 days, or 3 cruises of 7 days each per year. Also, on this particular cruise, because we did not have any sea days, they had to cram the VIP party in between the first and the second sitting at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And for this reason, the party was only 10 minutes long, which was kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
So after all those considerations, my vote is a 3 out of 5 anchors for the Sea Club. I do like the perks, and I wish that the points did not expire for members that keep cruising during the year. I think that would be fair. Time to move with another aspect of our Costa Deliziosa cruise review, and we talk about the service. On our 2 weeks journey, we noticed something a bit strange regarding the service.
That's
In
for
the
sure.
first week, the service was really good. Fast, efficient, and very friendly. In the second week, we noticed that the service slowed down a bit, or quite considerably, I would say. We do not know if this was due to the fact that the ship was going to dry dock and some staff members were tired, or it was because the ship was reducing the staff preparing for dry dock.
Well, we heard that the staff was reduced.
More about that later. This problem was more apparent in some areas of the ship than others. For example, at the club restaurant where we ate, in the first week the service was incredible, while in the second week it became really inconsistent. Also, at some of the bars, it took quite a long time to get service. Other bartenders, however, were always very, very efficient and friendly. So on the other end, our cabin steward was great and always nice and friendly, smiley and very helpful.
Yep,
in both weeks, actually.
Yep.
One thing we would like to mention regarding the service on Costa is the Costa provides a host dedicated to passengers that do not speak Italian. So, on board you will find English, a French, a German, a Spanish, and sometimes an Indian and Portuguese speaking host. These hosts are available to help passengers with all their needs in their own language. However, we noticed that a lot of passengers do not know about the existence of this service.
Exactly.
And they're basically complaining that they can't understand what's going on, how to do things on board.
Yeah, and it's just because they didn't know about these hosts.
Exactly. We think that the Costa host could promote themselves a little bit better, so more people would be aware of the existence of this service. For example, hosts could send a letter at the embarkation explaining that for everything they need, they are there to help. Okay, time to vote for service, and my vote for service is 4 anchors for the first week and 3 anchors for the second week. What's your vote, Rick?
Well, I'll make it simple. My vote for service in general was a 4 out of 5. I was still very pleased. I always had a glass of wine in hand, so, it was perfectly fine. Okay, let's move on to our next item to review on our Costa Deliziosa cruise, and we'll talk about the cabin. On this particular cruise, we were able to take advantage of Costa's Super Upgrade program that came with our Costa Club Gold status. Basically, because this year we took more cruises this year than we did last year, I mean, if you can imagine that, we were eligible for a free upgrade from a window cabin to a suite. Basically, we traveled in a suite for 2 weeks for the price of a window cabin. That was pretty amazing.
Really amazing.
Our cabin on Costa Deliziosa was number 5399. So that's deck 5 all the way aft. This suite is called a panorama suite because of the huge wraparound balcony that has an incredible view. The suite was huge, with a very nice king-size bed in the middle of the room. It also has 2 desks that were very handy for us to work. We also had a coffee maker with coffee pods and a mini bar that was restocked regularly. In the room, there were also tons of drawers for clothes and all sorts of other items.
Yes, you took all the entire closet for yourself.
Yes, yes. There were also 2 European electrical plugs and 2 North American plugs and 4 USB ports at the bedside table. The suite also has Costa's signature ugly brown couch that can be used as a twin bed for a third person if they share the room. We also had a very nice walk-in closet with a good amount of space for clothes. And the decor, of course, it's a bit outdated like the rest of the ship, but overall very pleasant. Now, the surprise was the bathroom. Here we had a beautiful double sink, and look at this huge shower with all of the jets. I mean, this was amazing. However, the bathroom did not have a bidet this time, but it's not really a big deal. Now, taking a shower on embarkation day, we noticed that the drain wasn't working properly and the water almost overflowed on embarkation day. So we mentioned this to our cabin steward, who was really busy, but you know what? He jumped right in and solved the problem right away. As we mentioned before, the balcony was also really big and nice, but it only had 2 small chairs and a tiny table, so it wasn't really all that useful. Now, if Costa put a couple of sunbeds on the balcony, it probably would have been much better for us. The suite also comes with what we call butler service. Well, they call it butler service, but unfortunately, in our case, it was just a glorified, room service, right? They bring you coffee and drinks, and now we really loved the room. Duh, it's a suite, because of the beautiful space and the bathroom. However, we did not really like the location. The fact that it was all the way aft, it meant that the room was very noisy. In fact, during navigation, we could hear the rumbling of the propellers and all of the vibrations, especially the first few nights when the sea was a bit choppy. I even had to use earplugs to be able to sleep on the first few nights. So for this reason, we would probably not pick this particular suite in the future, even though the view is amazing. The noise is not.
Yeah.
Okay, so time to vote for the cabin, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. If it were in the middle or the front of the ship, I think it would have been much better, at least for the noise. What do you think, Andrea?
Well, I think I would give the room a 5 out of 5 for the space and the beautiful bathroom. However, because of the noise, I will take 2 anchors away, so my final vote is a 3 out of 5. Time to move to another aspect of the review on board of the Costa Deliziosa, and we talk about the cleanliness.
Now, one thing we immediately noticed when we stepped on the Costa Deliziosa is how clean it was, and this is something that's common on most Costa ships. The ship was in impeccable condition, perfectly clean in every area that we could find. Also, we noticed that the cleaning crew was constantly cleaning practically every single room, lounge, restaurant, pool, floor, you name it. We also noticed that Costa now has this little robot that cleans the carpets. It's kind of like a Roomba, but for cruise ships. It was so cute. And, you at one point, you were trying to play with it.
Yeah.
Like a cat would. We also noticed that the repair crew was fixing and painting several areas of the ship, probably in preparation for dry dock. One thing that we have to mention is that at the back of the ship, when we were sailing, there was a lot of ash falling from the smokestack on the floor and onto the sunbeds. Hopefully during dry dock, this problem will be sorted out. Okay, so time to vote for cleanliness, and my vote is a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, your thoughts?
Well, I have to give 5 anchors out of 5 for cleanliness. The ship was really clean, and the robot was so cute. I enjoyed it so much.
You almost tried to put it back in your suitcase,
I know,
right?
it was so funny. So let's review another aspect of the Costa Deliziosa and we talk about the restaurants. The Costa Deliziosa has one main dining room located all the way aft and it's on two levels, on deck 2 and deck 3. On deck 3 there is a section on the main dining room dedicated to gold and platinum. The dining room is quite big with a lot of windows that provides a lot of natural lights. We noticed that the tables are quite close to each other though. The dining room on Costa still has the two traditional seats for dinner. The first one at 6:45 to 7:15 and the second one at 9 p.m. We did not eat at this main dining room, so we can only review the ambience. And I think it will give a 4 out of 5 because it seemed a bit crammed at the time. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, not only that, the times that we did peek our head in, it did seem a little chaotic, but they did have those parties like the where they were dancing and on Italian night, and they didn't have that in the club restaurant. But anyway, my vote for the dining rooms is a solid 4 out of 5 anchors.
The Costa Deliziosa also has the buffet located on deck 9, mid to the back of the ship. The buffet is huge for the size of the ship, and it has several stations serving food. The ambience is nice with a lot of window and lots of table. The buffet is open for breakfast, for lunch, afternoon snack that is called merenda in Italian, and for dinner. The buffet was always very busy and we spoke with a lot of fellow passengers and they all really loved it.
You mean your parents liked it?
Yeah. Again, we did not try the buffet, so we only vote for the ambience, and my vote is a 5 anchors out of 5, because I found the buffet really big for the size of the ship. What is your vote, Rick?
Well, for the buffet, my vote is also a 5 out of 5 anchors. I mean, everything was perfect. I mean, the food looked great, and yeah, it was perfectly fine.
Lastly, the Costa Deliziosa has the elite restaurant or the Club Deliziosa that is reserved to suite and platinum passenger, not gold anymore. The elite restaurant is located on deck 10, midship. The restaurant is wonderful with a lot of window, a lot of space, and very, very classy seating. At this restaurant, the service is a bit more personal and they can accommodate most of the passenger requests. The food selection is practically the same that is served in the main dining room, with a few exceptions here and there of some extra dishes that are only available at this restaurant. The restaurant is open for breakfast, for lunch, with open seating, and for dinner, with the first seating at 6:45, 7:15, and the second seating at 9 p.m. Also now, passengers from the main dining room seem to be able to come to this restaurant as a part of their gourmet package sold on board or by paying a fee like any other specialty restaurants.
I guess since they took this option away from gold members to eat there, now they have extra space. So
maybe.
There you go.
Because we were traveling in a suite, we were able to eat at this restaurant for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. Now, on the first week of the cruise, the restaurant was perfect, efficient, quick, and able to accommodate several of our special requests.
Oh, they're not very difficult, right? Like requests.
Well, sometimes, which is the whole part of the restaurant, a small intimate setting with a little kitchen nearby. For example, one day on the first week, we asked for a cheeseburger at lunch, and the restaurant manager went all the way to the burger bar downstairs and got us a burger with no problem.
It was just one floor down.
Not floor down, but still. In the second week, something changed. Servers became much more slower, and sometimes they were spotty.
Yeah.
They could not accommodate any request, even simple one. And the vibe at the restaurant seemed a little different.
It was snippy, right?
I think something was not right. We heard from some staff members that in the second week, many of the staff disembarked earlier in preparation for dry dock, and that meant that the kitchen and the wait staff was a little understaffed. Unfortunately, from a passenger point of view, this was quite obvious, and it made the experience less than ideal.
Yeah, actually, I don't know that I would book another cruise if it was going into dry dock, if I knew it.
Yeah. Now it's time to vote for the restaurant, and I give a solid 5 out of 5 anchors for the first week, while for the second week, unfortunately, I have to remove 2 anchors and give it 3 out of 5. What's the vote, Rick?
Yeah, funny you say that. I think I'll just make it easy and give the Club Deliziosa a 4 out of 5 anchors as an average over the 2 weeks. Okay, so time to move on to our next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and let's talk about the food. right? Now, because you watch our videos about Costa, you know that we love the food on Costa. It's actually, I think it's the best food at sea. It's well prepared, well seasoned, well presented, and on this sailing, it was fantastic as usual, with a couple of small exceptions. I think that for the 2 weeks that we were on board, I think I only had one dish that I would not recommend. However, on this particular trip, well, in the second week, it wasn't easy to get the customization that we're used to, at least in the second week. For example, one day I asked for a side of fries instead of roasted potatoes, and I was told that they couldn't do that. However, it was never an issue on any other Costa cruise we took, so it was a bit surprising. Now, we heard other passengers were upset about being unable to have pizza during the day, but only at night. And this is true on Costa's smaller ships, where the pizza restaurant is only open at dinner time because during the day, the pizza area is used as part of the buffet. However, small pizzas are usually available at merenda, that's the afternoon snack. And another guest we ran into mentioned that they have a mushroom allergy, and she felt that the staff didn't take it entirely seriously, and she had to mention it every single time. So in our experience, if you have an allergy or an intolerance, or you're gluten intolerant or lactose intolerant, they have a special menu just for you. So I don't know what happened, right? I mean, maybe it was a miscommunication.
Maybe.
Who knows? Lastly, we did find the menu to be a little repetitive. I mean, it was the same cruise 2 weeks in a row, right? But they served, for example, the prosciutto and mozzarella as an appetizer twice in the same week. Okay. Portion size, though, is the typical Costa small portion, which is meant for 4 courses. On the same note, mealtime is also timed for a 4-course meal because Italians like to sit at a table, sometimes for hours, eating and talking. Now, if you're not used to that, it might seem that meals take forever. But you can always ask for the waiters to speed it up a little, and they will. Now, let's talk about the desserts. As usual, they were incredible, tasty, and beautiful. Our favorite is always the Mandarino. It's a little ball that's shaped like a clementine that packs an explosion of citrus flavors. Honestly, this dessert will change your life, and I almost ate the plate on this particular sailing. Now, during this sailing, we also tried the room service one morning for breakfast because we had a very early excursion, and our restaurant was still closed. Now, room service for breakfast cost €5, but it's free for suites. Now, one thing that is very bizarre about Costa is the fact that some breakfast items are only available for room service, while they're not available in the dining room. For example, the eggs Benedict that we ordered. The eggs were cooked to perfection and very tasty. However, they did arrive a bit cold, and that was mildly disappointing, especially since we couldn't get it at the restaurant. Okay, so time to vote for the food, and my vote is a solid 4 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, my vote is also 4 out of 5 anchors, and as you mentioned, the dishes felt a little repetitive, but overall the quality is exceptional, so I liked it. Moving on to our next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we talk about the bars. On Costa Deliziosa, there are no lack of bars. Starting on deck 2, there is the Grand Bar Mirabilis, which is towards the front of the ship, right by the theater. Then there is the Casino Bar. In the middle of the ship, there's by the panoramic elevator, you find the Bar delle Delizie, that is the almost always open, and is one of the busiest one on the ship. Lastly, towards the back of the ship, next to the main dining room, you'll find the Piano Bar Alcazar. On deck 3, at the front of the ship, by the second level of the theater, you'll find the Piano Bar. While towards the back of the ship, where it was our favorite bar of all, the Wine Bar Vanilla.
What? It was actually called Vanilla?
It was called Vanilla.
All right.
Yes, more on that bar later.
Okay.
On deck 9, midship, by the main pool, you'll find the Lido Azzurro Bar. And lastly, at the back of the ship, by the pool, you'll find the Aperol Spritz bar that also has the biggest smoking area in the ship and the busiest smoking area in the ship.
Yep.
Now, the bars are great and the service is excellent. However, sometimes bars get really busy and getting a drink might take a little longer. Now, Let's go back to our favorite bar, the Wine Bar Vanilla. This bar only serves the best wine on board, which are only included in the Drink Plus package.
Yeah, the My Drinks Plus.
Yes. At this bar, you can also try molecular cocktails that seem to be really popular among passengers. Also, at this bar, when you order some wine, they also serve you a little aperitivo food, such as pieces of cheese and salami and little mortadella and olives, which are perfect when you're a little hungry. We become very good friends with the bartender Irene and the wine bar that we knew from our previous sailing on board the Costa Toscana. She was wonderful, and we really bonded with her. So it's time to vote for the bar now, and I think my vote is a solid 5 out of 5 anchors for bars. Even though sometimes they were a little chaotic, usually I overall really enjoyed them. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, so my vote for the bars is also a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. I was always able to get a glass of wine, and there was never any problems with that. Now, after reviewing the bars, it's time to move on to another item to talk about, and that's the drinking packages. Now, because you watch our channel, you know that we always recommend buying the all-inclusive package at the time of booking if you want the best deal. In fact, with the all-inclusive, you'll get the My Drinks package that includes water, coffee, cappuccino, and all of the specialty coffees, teas, sodas, a selection of white wines, red wines, Prosecco, Rosé, beer, spirits, cocktails, and the list goes on, and you even have the gratuities included. So in our opinion, the all-inclusive is the best deal. Now, on this sailing, we noticed that Costa made a helpful pamphlet explaining the advantages of the My Drinks packages, and it looks like it was very well made. Basically, they calculated that if you have a coffee, a juice, and a glass of water at breakfast, another coffee and maybe another juice mid-morning, and then maybe a glass of wine and some water and a coffee at lunch, a couple of drinks and some water in the afternoon, and so on during the day, you'll end up spending about 88 euros a day in drinks alone. While with the My Drink package, you'll only spend 42 euros a day if you bought it on board. But folks, it's way cheaper if you buy it at the time of booking, and even cheaper if you buy it as part of the all-inclusive package. Now, if you really want to treat yourself, you can upgrade to the My Drinks Plus package. With this package, you get access to the best wines in Italy that Costa has to offer by the glass. Of course, if you're traveling in a suite, the My Drinks Plus package is included in your cruise fare. Now, Costa also offers other packages for people who do not drink alcohol, for people who only want a glass of wine with meals, or for special packages for the under 18s. They're pretty good, but not nearly as good as the all-inclusive package, in our opinion. Okay, so it's time to vote for the drinking package, or at least the My Drinks package, and my vote is a 5 anchors out of 5. But the My Drinks Plus is amazing, and there are not enough anchors on board to vote for it. Andrea, what do you say?
Well, let's say I would not cruise on Costa without a drinking package and without the all-inclusive, so 5 out of 5 for sure. Moving on to our next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we'll talk about Specialty Restaurant. Costa Deliziosa, being a small ship, only has 3 specialty restaurants, plus the Salty Beach street food joint up on deck 9. The first and most famous specialty restaurant on board the Costa Deliziosa is the Archipelago, that is located on deck 2, all the way at the back of the ship. As we mentioned before on our Costa reviews, this is a collaboration between Costa and 3 Michelin star chefs. Each chef designed a 4 or 5 course menu tailored to the itinerary that the ship is sailing. One very important thing to know about this restaurant is the fact that the menu of each chef is set in stone, and it is not possible to make any substitution whatsoever. So if you have a food allergy, intolerance, or simply don't like seafood like me, you cannot eat at this restaurant. Period.
Well, you can eat there, but
yeah, one dish.
But they're not going to modify it for you.
Yeah. Personally, I think it is a bit of a mistake because this prevents a lot of people from trying this restaurant. The restaurant itself is beautiful, very modern, very clean, and very intimate. Because we did not eat at the archipelago this time, we'll only review the ambience, and my vote is for this is a 5 out of 5 anchor. What is your vote, Rick?
Well, if you could peel me away from the club restaurant, sure, I'd go there for dinner. But of course, I'd have to find somebody to go with. Do I have any volunteers, anyone? Let me know in the comments below. But yes, we did get to see the food. We didn't get to taste it. But for the ambiance, and at least what I saw, I give it a 5 out of 5 anchors.
The second specialty restaurant on board the Costa Deliziosa is the Sushino Sushi Bar. The Sushino is located on deck 2, right by the casino. The ambience is simple and fun, and it's very informal. One thing we have noticed is that a lot of passengers go there for takeaway, but not to eat there at the restaurant. One thing that we have also to mention is the fact that when walking by the Sushino, there is a very strong fish smell that might be a bit of a turn off for many passengers. Again, we did not eat there, but my vote is a 3 out of 5 because of the smell is a bit intense and because the location is a bit of an afterthought. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, well, the smell didn't do the restaurant any favors. You know, when you walk by, you kind of just notice that, you know. So, I know the food is good, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 for smell.
The last specialty restaurant on board the Costa Deliziosa is the Pizzeria that is located on deck 9 in an area of the buffet that is converted into pizzeria at night. The area is big and very casual, with paper setting on the table. We did not eat here, but we ordered pizza and delivered at the club restaurant a couple of times. The pizza is delicious, with a wonderful crust and a ton of fresh flavor. However, you need to know that this is an authentic Naples-style pizza. So, if you're expecting the type of pizza that you are used in your own country, you are a little bit for a surprise.
Well, you might be in for a surprise, right?
Yeah, but please try the pizza here because it is delicious and it's totally worth it. So my vote for the pizzeria is a solid 5 anchors out of 5. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, for pizza, they got it right? The birthplace of pizza is Naples, and they made Naples pizza. So 5 anchors out of 5 for the pizza. Okay, so time to review another aspect of our cruise on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we should talk about the entertainment, right? The entertainment team on Costa Deliziosa, well, they were fantastic. We were happy to see Mark as part of the team. We've met him several times before on other trips. The team was really engaging, keeping people active and entertained. However, we did not participate in any of the events during the day because we were out and about exploring the ports every day. But at night, that's when the entertainment team shined with some epic parties. In particular, the White Party was incredibly well attended as usual. At the party, they also had the Buffet Magnifico by the pool that passengers loved. Another great party was the Party con Noi on the first night of the sailing that people and us really enjoyed. However, the most epic party of the whole 2 weeks would probably be the Halloween party, for sure. I mean, the party was fantastic. The dance floor was packed at the Grand Bar. And many people were wearing costumes, but unfortunately, that wasn't us. We were just wearing our regular clothes, but we were, welcome anyway. And lastly, we have to mention the Voice at Sea event. This is a Costa classic event, and passengers always love. In fact, the theater was packed, and everyone was really engaged in the show. Time to vote for the entertainment, and you might have guessed that my vote is a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. No doubt about that. I danced like crazy for a few nights, had so much fun. Andrea, your thoughts?
Well, this is an easy one for me. 5 anchors out of 5, no doubts. The party are so much fun. Let's review another aspect of our cruise on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we talk about the shows. Now, before I start talking about the shows, let me talk a little bit about the theater itself. I personally found that the theater on board the Costa Deliziosa really nice for a few reasons. First, it's very easy to see the stage from practically every seat in the theater with a nice unobstructed view of the stage. Second, the leg room between the seats is perfect. Even for my very long legs, I had no problem stretching my legs and wasn't even able to touch the seat in front of me. Lastly, there are nice tables in front of the seats where you can put your drinks while watching the show. So, in my opinion, the theater on board the Costa Deliziosa is much better than most of the theater, even in newer ship.
Yep, absolutely. Like the Costa Toscana and the
Yep.
Smeralda, that's the Achilles heel on those ships.
The theater, amazing on Deliziosa. Now let's go back to the show themselves. We noticed that Costa added some new shows to the usual repertoire, and this was quite a good addition. The format is still the usual, with a lot of dancing, singing, and acrobats, but with some new music and some new effects that I really liked. Passengers seemed to really enjoy the shows, and the theater was always sold out, at the point that we had to stand up one night because there were no more seats available at the theater.
But the show was so good that we wanted to stay and stand, so that was fine.
Now let's vote for the show, and I'll give that 5 out of 5 anchors because I deeply enjoyed. I enjoyed most of the shows, and the new ones and the old ones that we saw several times before. So what's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, this is an easy one. My vote for the shows is also a 5 out of 5 anchors. This was always a highlight, of our day when cruising, right? Okay, so moving on to our next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we should talk about the excursions. The excursion desk on board the Costa Deliziosa is located on deck 2, right beside the panoramic elevators. The excursion team was really friendly and always very nice. Also, now on Costa Excursions, they're ticketless, which means you just need to meet at a meeting point and show your cruise card. So this makes everything very fast and efficient, which we like. Now, on these 2 cruises, we did not book many excursions. We booked 2 in the first week and 1 in the second week. Now, on embarkation, we had a letter in our cabin that the pasta making and wine tasting excursion in Bari was canceled because it did not reach the minimum number of participants required. And given that it was a wine tasting event, I would say this was more than disappointing. But we did
for you.
But we did go out to explore the city on our own. The second excursion that we took in the first week was in Kotor, Montenegro, and this was a boat tour of the little island called Virgin of the Rocks and to the town of Perast. Now, this excursion was not really good at all. In fact, the tour operator crammed a huge amount of passengers into a small boat for more than an hour each way. Now, the tour guide was really nice, but the boat was incredibly uncomfortable. And we found out from our local tour guide that on the second visit to Kotor, the reason they crammed so many passengers on those uncomfortable boats was because there was too many ships in town and they didn't have enough boats for all the tours. Well, I think they should have just canceled the tour, in our opinion, like they did in Bari. Now, in the second week, we only took 1 excursion in Catacolone. Now, for this excursion, we originally had a farm visit, but we noticed that there was a new one, which was a typical lunch with, where they break the plates and they give you lunch and wine and ouzo and a lot of dancing. So we naturally wanted to switch for that. Now, one thing about the excursions is that when you buy an excursion on Costa, when you buy it and you're on the ship, that's it. You cannot cancel it. So when we went to ask about changing, you were kind of in for a, you were ready for a
fight a little bit.
But actually, the fact that we were changing, I guess they accepted it without any problems. Now, I don't know if that's the rule or what, or maybe they just liked us on week 2. They were used to us. Maybe that was part of it. I don't know, but they easily changed, no problem at all.
Yeah, change excursion, no question asked.
Now, one thing that we really enjoyed on the trip was the fact that there were transfers available from the port to the city centers and back that was organized by the excursion team. And we used the transfer in the port of Dubrovnik and the port of Corfu because the ship was docked quite far away from the city center. The Costa transfers were very efficient, very well priced. They were about 13 or 14 euros each. And they also run very frequently with minimal to no wait. The process was very easy. Just scan your cruise card at the bus and that was it. Also, the transfer allowed us to go back and forth between the port and the city as many times as we wanted for the same price, which was very convenient. Okay, so time to vote for the excursions, and mostly because of the transfers that are available, my vote is a 4 out of 5 anchors. Also, Costa has a survey that can be taken after each excursion, but I also think this is a good idea. I think that it would be even better if customers could rate the excursions and write about it. I mean, we rate restaurants and Uber drivers, so why not rate these excursions and show the rating in the excursion portal or on the Costa app so passengers can also read about what other people write and decide if they want to take it or not. And also, by doing so, it would be possible for Costa to consider removing excursions that consistently get low ratings. So, Costa, if you're listening, we recommend adding client ratings to the excursions. Okay, so, Andrew, what is your vote for the excursions?
My vote on excursion is a 4 out of 5 anchors. Our excursion in Kotor was pretty bad, but that one was not Costa's fault. It was just the tour operator that crammed too many people on the small ship. Also, I was really pleased by the transfer from and to the port, and I found that the price was very reasonable. So let's review another aspect of our Costa Deliziosa cruise, and we will talk about the future cruise consultant at the Sea Dream. The Sea Dream is where you will find the future cruise consultants. The office is located on Deck 2 between the main atrium and the casino. We visited the Sea Dream office to inquire about making a couple of bookings. This time we were looking for something in February, but it did not work out. The biggest benefit of booking on board is the fact that you get 10% off the future cruise, and the cost is only 100 euro per person to book on board, not the 25%. And you can change your mind and the cruise in the future, and you'll still keep the discount that was applied on board.
That is a big one, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so time to vote for the Sea Dream, and my vote was a 5 anchor out of 5, even though we didn't book any cruise this time. What's the vote, Rick?
Yeah, so I also think that the people of Sea Dream need or deserve a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. They were incredibly nice to us and helpful. Okay, so let's review another aspect of our Costa Deliziosa cruise, and we can talk about the Costa app. Actually, you are the expert in the Costa app, so why don't you talk about it?
Sure. The Costa app is the mobile portal that allows passengers to check the daily program, check menus, book excursion while on board, check the shipboard account, connect to the internet, talk to fellow passenger, and so much more.
You see, you are the expert in the Costa
seems like an infomercial. The app is constantly updated and the new features are added all the time. One very important feature of the app is the ability to do the safety drill right on your phone without needing to congregate at the theater with all the other passengers. Once you watch the drill on your phone, you just need to go down to the master station and get your card scanned with your life jacket, and that's about it. And you are done for the cruise.
Yep, very easy.
I have to say that the Costa app has been improved a lot in the last few years, and now it works pretty well. It is much faster to load than it was before, and also has push notifications that are available now. One feature that was added since our last cruise in July is the opening hour of the bars and the restaurant. Now, if you look at the particular venue, you can check on the app and see if it's open or not. Overall, the app is quite good, does almost anything that the passenger needs, and it's really easy to use. For this reason, my vote for the Costa app is a 5 out of 5 anchors. What's your vote, Rick?
Well, for the app, okay, fine, let's get it out of the way. 5 out of 5 anchors, definitely. The only thing I'd have to say is that you have to be connected to the ship's Wi-Fi to be able to use it. And that's something that some people get a little bit confused about. But
that's true.
That's minor. Okay, so moving on to the next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we'll talk about the casino. The casino on Costa Deliziosa is located on Deck 2 towards the middle of the ship. Now, we think the casino is huge for such a small ship. There's a wide variety of tables and slots. It's well laid out, has a nice flow, and on these two sailings, we noticed that the casino was, pretty busy. In particular, the roulette tables always had passengers. One thing that's worth mentioning is the fact that Costa has an incentive. So if you play at least 20 euros, I guess at the machines, you'll get 5 euros of free play. Now, we did play a few times at the casino without any luck. Also, the casino on board the Costa Deliziosa is 100% smoke free, which is quite nice. Now, even though I didn't win any jackpots like I've done, like what's happened in the past, I will still give this casino a 5 out of 5 anchors, at least because it was smoke free. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, the casino was nice, really big for the ship size, and I enjoying it, even though I did not really care for gambling. So also, I give the casino 5 out of 5 anchors because I like the ambience. Then move to our next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we talk about the internet. The internet on board of Costa Deliziosa, we have to admit, is quite fast and very reliable and super stable. We bought the full internet package online prior departure at a discounted price of Euro 95.20 per device for the week instead of 119 euros. That was the price on board. That said, it was only for one device, so if you want to use your phone and laptop like we do, we have to disconnect from one and then connect to the other one. Not a big deal, but for us that we work online and super tech savvy, it's a bit easier, but for other people that are not tech savvy, it might be a little confusing. There are also less expensive packages that are only for social media or WhatsApp, and that is very widely used in Europe, and allows you to make phone calls and video calls and send messages to other people who have WhatsApp as well. Lastly, in case a passenger needs to have any help with the internet on board of the Costa Deliziosa, or the Costa App, there is a dedicated internet point located on deck 3 midship by the panoramic elevator. Be aware that the internet point can be really busy, especially on the first couple of days of the cruise.
Yes, so maybe just watch this video again.
Yeah. Either way, the speed of the internet is fast, however, I think the cost is still quite high. But overall, I give it 4 out of 5 anchors because I can work on board and even away on holiday. So, Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, so it is expensive, but if you work on board, I think it's very well worth it. Remember, when you're in port, you can also use your cell phone and roam or use an eSIM. An eSIM is a second SIM card that most phones support. Actually, you can scan this QR code with your phone and download the app. And it works kind of like a cell phone provider, and you can activate an eSIM that's super cheap for pretty much anywhere. Oh, and if you're watching this video on your phone or a laptop, we left a link in the description for you to check it out. Oh, and for the internet, yes, I give it a 4 out of 5 anchors as well. If you improve the price, 5 out of 5. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about one of my most favorite places on board. Well, anywhere actually, and that's the spa. The spa on board the Costa Deliziosa is one of our favorite hangouts on the ship. Now, for a ship of this size, I'd say it's rather large, with a jacuzzi that can comfortably fit about, a dozen people, a steam room, a sauna, 2 tepidariums, a room to nap, and a winter garden. The jacuzzi on this sailing was very nice. The temperature was about 37 or 38 degrees Celsius, which is typical in Europe. Now, if you're coming from North America, you might find that it's a little on the cooler side, but in Europe, it's this way, so you can stay in the jacuzzi for longer. We also like the waterfalls, as it kind of gave you a sort of a neck massage while you're in the jacuzzi. That was very nice. Now, the steam room, unfortunately, did not work on this sailing. Well, it did work a little bit,
on the second week, yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't really get very warm, and that's too bad. The tepidariums are 2 rooms, one warmer than the other, with lounge chairs to relax on, and they're tiled and heated, which feels very nice. The idea is that maybe you'll even fall asleep. Unfortunately, in one of the rooms, the less hotter of the two, the white tiled chairs, there was a constant knocking noise that never went away for more than a few minutes. It sounded like somebody was banging a pipe inside the walls. What's really strange is that we've heard this noise on other ships as well, and nobody can seem to explain it. The sauna was also a decent size, maybe enough for 10 to 12 people to fit comfortably. The napping room has these nice squishy beds that you can lie down and have a nap. I used
That's
it
why there's
once.
nap room.
Yes, exactly. Now on this trip, we were on board for 2 sailings. Access to the spa amenities I just mentioned cost 59 euros a day on port days and 69 euros a day on sea days. And if you wanted a 7-day pass, the cost was 179 euros, and that's per person. Now, you can upgrade to silver, gold, or diamond, which gives you a free treatment like a massage, wrap, or even a facial. But here's the thing. Because our loyalty status is gold, we get a free entrance to the spa. But it doesn't reduce the price of the weekly pass. And because we were traveling in a suite, we had an extra pass on top of that. So that's 2 passes. But if we wanted the whole week, it's still 179 euros. So if you had no status, you'd pay 179 euros or about 25 euros a day. But because we sail a lot, we would have had to have paid more considering we already get the 2 days free. Exactly. So I would say it would be better to offer an option of something like 15 to 20% off the weekly pass for Costa Club Gold and perhaps another 15 to 20% off if you're traveling in a suite. And that would make a lot more sense to me. Actually, it should just be free for the suite passengers, I think. For this reason, in the first week, we didn't buy the all-week pass because we were busy visiting ports and having fun, so we only used our 2 daily passes out of the 7 days. Another thing that was weird was that on the first day of the trip, we went up to the spa and looked around, and as usual, someone offered to take us around, and at the end, she gave me a nice free neck massage, which was great. I explained that we had 2 massages booked online because, as you know, if you book your packages online, they typically cost less than they do on board. In my case, I paid 199 euros for 2 50-minute massages. And I asked the lady if I could upgrade to 75 minutes. And she says, yeah, of course, just pay the difference. Makes total sense. It was 30 euros each. No problem. Now, I thought this was perfectly fine as she went ahead and booked. And then we walked around the ship. We did our thing, got back to the cabin later on. And then we got a phone call saying, oops, we made a mistake. Can you please come upstairs? So we came back upstairs later, and at this time we spoke to the manager, who apologized and said, I'm sorry, I cannot offer you this price on the 2 massages. You have to buy 8 to get that price. I didn't believe it. I thought it was a bluff. So I said, look, I'll just take the 2 that I had booked, and left. And that was it. Then later in the week, we got 2 offers. One was a 60-minute massage for 89 euros, which was even cheaper than the 50-minute massage that I paid 99 euros for, so that was interesting. And then we received an offer for 129 euros for a 75-minute massage, which is essentially what we talked about in the first place, but according to the manager, we had to buy 8 of them, right? Anyway, I really don't like these tricks, and it didn't work well for the spa in the first week because we ended up spending nothing above what we did online. The second week, we thought we'd get more use out of the spa, and we did. We did buy the gold package, which was 229 euros per person for the week. Again, we get no discount because of our 2 free packages, right? But this one included a 75-minute massage for each of us. And since this one doesn't care about massages, I happily took it. Now, another thing I find really odd is that your spa bookings don't show up in the Costa app. You have these little pieces of paper that they give you, and Well, unless you bought the treatment online first, it doesn't show up in the app. So I think this could be an improvement, especially if you use the app a lot. Now, if I were to compare this spa with others, I would say it would be in the middle of the pack. You might remember on our Costa Fortuna review, the spa entrance was free, but that was because the spa, well, it was a bit of an afterthought, right?
For lack of a better word.
Yeah. But then if you compare it with the spas on board the Costa Toscana or the Smeralda, the prices are the same, but those spas are a million times better, in my opinion. They're much more modern, and of course, everything works. So if you're going to be visiting the spa on Costa Deliziosa, I'd say this. Unless you plan on using it every single day, wait a little bit. The deals will come. All right, time to vote for the spa, and on the Costa Deliziosa, I give it a 4 out of 5 anchors. If the steam room worked and the original offer wasn't canceled, it would have been a 5. Andrea, what do you think about the spa?
I really like the size of the spa. I think it was wonderful. I also like the fact that there are plenty of windows to enjoy the view of the ocean while relaxing in the jacuzzi or in the steam room or the sauna. So for this reason, I also give the spa a 4 out of 5 anchors.
Okay, so moving on to another aspect to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we'll talk about the gym.
Yeah, you talk about the gym because I don't use the gym.
Okay, so the gym on Costa Deliziosa is located on deck 10, all the way at the front of the ship, just above the spa. Now, if you've watched our videos before, you know that, well, we don't use the gym often. Well, actually, no, not now. At least I do. For the past year, I've been going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and for me, the day isn't complete unless I go for a run. So it's just a bit of a habit that I got into. Now, on this trip, I got to use the gym, I think, 7 times in the 2 weeks. I mean, if we have an early morning excursion or have an excursion that involves a lot of activity, I usually just skip it. There's no real need. But yeah, I went a few times and I liked it. The one thing I noticed in these 2 weeks is that it was very well attended the entire time. Usually after day 2 or 3, there's nobody there. But in these 2 weeks, there were always a good number of people. Not full, but certainly not empty either. Another thing that I noticed is that the age range in the gym on these sailings were very visible. There were kids using the treadmills with their parents. One of them was maybe like 7 or 8 years old, and he was clearly used to it. So I'd say on this ship, or at least on these sailings, the minimum age wasn't enforced. And to be honest, I think if the parents were there, I don't seem to have any problem if they weren't bothering anyone, and they weren't. In case you're wondering about the equipment, there were a row of treadmills, maybe 10 or 12 of them by the window. And then behind them, there was another row of these funny cardio machines that I didn't really understand what they did. There was also these weight machines for, legs, abs, back, and as well as the free weights as well. Now, at least some of the equipment looked about as old as the ship, but they were all really well maintained. Everything was clean. Thank you to the housekeeping staff and to the passengers taking good care of it. And I mean, you don't really need the newest equipment for the gym. With my iPhone and my AirPods, I could watch a YouTube video or listen to music. No problem at all. It was really not an issue. Oh, and there was a stretching area with mats that were available as well, where you can stretch or do yoga or calisthenics or whichever. And after your workout, the change room had his and her change rooms, each with their own sauna and showers, which you could use, and there was no charge to use it or anything like that, which was really nice. So with that all out of the way, my vote for the gym was a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what did you think of the gym?
Well, the gym looked okay to me. I trust your instinct and I give a 5 out of 5 anchor as well.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Moving on to another aspect to review on board of the Costa Deliziosa, and we will talk about the stores. The stores on board of the Costa Deliziosa are located on deck 3 towards the front of the ship. They are all grouped into a galleria style, and they sell the usual items like clothes, bags, sunglasses, watches, chocolate, perfumes, and creams, all that kind of stuff. Also, because this cruise had one stop in Kotor Montenegro that is not part of the European Union yet, the stores also sold a selection of duty-free items such as cigarettes. One thing that we have noticed on these ships was the fact that the toiletry necessity for sale in the store had a much better selection of items than usual.
Finally.
This is one of our biggest complaints in many of our cost reviews. Maybe someone listened to us and put on board some toothpaste, shaving cream, and other items for people to buy.
Thank you, Costa.
Also on Deck 3 midship, there is the usual Costa merchandise store that sells Costa branded items such as bags, hats, t-shirts, and so on. We did not buy anything on this sailing, so we will only vote for the ambience of the stores, and my vote is a 4 out of 5 anchors, because finally we saw a bit of more toiletry on sale on board.
Yep.
So what's the vote, Rick?
Well, you're right. Now the stores finally sell more items that we might actually want to use. You know, if somebody runs out of deodorant, they don't have to wait until the next port, which is always a good thing, right?
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so time to move on to our next item to review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and we'll talk about the photography. The photo gallery on board the Costa Deliziosa is located on Deck 3, midship, just above the Bar delle Delizie. The area is a bit narrow and sometimes gets a little difficult to walk through because people stop and look at photos and they obstruct the passage. Also on Costa Deliziosa, there's no kiosk to look at the photos digitally like we've seen on the Toscana or the Costa Smeralda. Photographers are around the ship, and they take the usual staged, unnatural photos that we've seen over and over again. However, on these sailings, the photographers seemed overly nice, and they were very accommodating, and we stopped several times to chit-chat and take photos and selfies and so on with them. But we didn't end up buying any of the photos, unfortunately, because the photos are really expensive. In fact, one photo is like 30 euros if you want the digital file. So in my opinion, there should be just an option to buy the digital file for a much more reasonable price. For this reason, my vote for photography is a 3 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what do you think?
My vote for photos is a 2 out of 5 anchors. The photography are very nice, but the price for photos was really too high. Also, I never really liked the insane waste of paper at the photo gallery. I mean, they say they recycle it, but I'm not sure. I've been complaining about this for years, and not just with Costa, but with other cruise lines as well. Photos should be digital and only printed upon request.
Yes.
The next thing we'll review on board the Costa Deliziosa is the price and value. So it's time to discuss how much we pay for these 2 weeks aboard the Costa Deliziosa. Each sailing was 8 days and 7 nights. The first week was 2,786 euros, and the second week was 2,655 euros. And it was almost all inclusive. I mean, we paid for the spa and bought a couple of food items and excursion, but that's about it. We think that the value is wonderful if you think that you have a true all-inclusive vacation with wonderful food and service and entertainment included. For this reason, my vote for price and value is a 5 out of 5, no question. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, I also give it a 5 out of 5. I mean, where can you go for, what was it, worked out to like 190 euro per day, including all of like the most amazing drinks and food? Okay, so the next item we'll review on board the Costa Deliziosa, and it's the saddest part. It's the disembarkation process.
Yeah, the disembarkation process was as usual quick and easy. Everyone gets bag tags with a specific color, and you are assigned a pickup time. For example, you might have a green tickets with a 10:55 pickup, so you show up at 10:55 and your bag is there. That makes it very well organized and very smooth. We used Bag Express, so reception came to pick up our bag the night before and shipped them to our home, and we will receive it in a few days. That's very convenient and allows us to travel by train with no bags. Also, our train wasn't until 1:30 p.m., so we asked reception if we could stay until noon, and they checked and said yes, no problem. though they ended up leaving a little sooner, so
yeah.
that was fine. So for Disembarkation, I give it 5 out of 5 anchors because it was very smooth. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, this is very easy. 5 out of 5 anchors for Disembarkation. Quick and easy. So this was our 18th and 19th cruise on Costa. And keep in mind, we only did one before the pandemic. And we really like cruise ships. Now, was it perfect? No, because there could only be one best cruise ever. But these past 2 weeks showed us that the staff cared, wanted to help, and were truly invested in our holiday. As usual, we made a lot of memories, met a lot of folks, and look forward to sailing again soon. Also, we think that this ship in the Itinerary is absolutely perfect for first-time cruisers. There's no sea days, and the ship is small enough to navigate. Overall, we enjoyed our 2 weeks on board, and I think we should give a rating overall for the cruise. I think for the 2 weeks overall, I'm going to give this a 4 anchors out of 5. Andrea, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. 4 anchor out of 5 is the right rating for this ship, for this cruise overall. Everything was very, very good. I deeply enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to be on Costa Toscana in a month.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for watching this incredibly long review. If you've actually made it this far, we hope to see you on board or out and about. If you do, don't hesitate to say hello to us.
Like many of you did on this cruise,
actually. Yes, or even buy us a drink if you'd like, if it's part of your all-inclusive package only. In the meantime, we will see you in our next video.
Ciao.